This is Mac OS Ken.
iPhone defies gravity in the States. An Apple app replaces presenters with AI. And selling out of overpriced dollars. It is Wednesday, the 13th of May, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by NordLayer, a toggle-ready network security platform built for today's business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code MacOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Clean My Mac, keeping Macs running smoothly since 2008. Simply because of the operating system, I would always rather have a slow Mac over a fast PC. Of course, what I would really like is a fast Mac. We can keep our Mac speedy with Clean My Mac. Cookies, installation remnants, duplicate files. Our Macs pick up lots of junk just through daily use. Clean My Mac knows where to find it and what to do with it, but it does more, keeping an eye out for malware and running optimization routines to keep our Macs running their best. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. Make macOSKen all caps in both places. That way they know where you heard about it and you get the discount. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. Again, macOSKen is all caps, both places. Use code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clnmy.com/MacOSKen. iPhone keeps defying gravity. That is the latest from Counterpoint Research. The market tracker posted a post Tuesday that had iPhone sales in the U.S. up 1.3% in the first quarter of this year versus the same quarter a year earlier. This it did while the entire smartphone market in the States dropped 5.7% year on year. iPhone benefited from two main factors, according to the post. One was a later than usual launch of Samsung's Galaxy S26 series. The other was being iPhone. On that point, Counterpoint says Apple's success was driven by the iPhone 17 series, which experienced carryover demand from supply limitations in the fourth quarter of 2025 due to global demand for the latest iPhone lineup. The piece points out that Apple gained share at AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon during the quarter. For the first quarter of last year at the big three U.S. wireless carriers, iPhone had a 72% share to Android's 28%. For the first quarter of this year, iPhone share inched up to 75% to Android's 25%. iPhone share grew the most at Verizon, according to Counterpoint, hitting 77% in Q1 of 26. While later than usual launches for flagship phones were said in the post to play a part in the first quarter's drop, the big problem was the low end of the market, which is taking the brunt of macroeconomic headwinds. And an annual uplift looks elusive this year. One Counterpoint analyst is quoted in the post saying that tax season is a big event for the prepaid space in the U.S. It helps provide a boost to unit sales in the lower end of the market. This year, that was not the case. The post goes on to say these tax return increases were offset by inflated gas prices, even as many consumers opted to use that money to pay credit card bills. As a result, more money transfers to lower-income households year on year did not translate into the expected lift in smartphone sales in the prepaid segment. News of a couple of service expansions from Apple this week. On the health side, Mac rumors had 3 countries picking up the AirPods hearing aid thing, while one country also got hypertension alerts. The hearing aid option lets users use AirPods Pro as an over-the-counter alternative to traditional hearing aids. That functionality was activated this week for Czechia, Italy, and Romania. As for the BP, hypertension alerts work for Apple Watch Series 9 or later and Apple Watch Ultra 2 or later. Wearers can be alerted if their watch detects signs of chronic high blood pressure. That feature has gone live in Israel. For a service with more of an aesthetic angle, we turn to 9to5Mac. A piece from that site says Apple Maps has expanded its detailed city experiences to Naples and Rome, probably the ones in Italy. The piece says users in those cities can now see more detailed versions of both, including 3D landmarks, lane markings, crosswalks, transit routes, and road-level guidance for complex interchanges. Hey, where are you on the whole AI thing? Mac Rumors ran a piece Tuesday that had me seriously considering this question. According to the report, the Apple Sales Coach app, a tool for employees of Apple Retail and Apple-authorized resellers, the Apple Sales Coach app will soon use AI-generated video presenters to deliver personalized training content to retail salespeople around the world. I assume that that's happening soon. They made a video about it starring, funny enough, a real live person. In a new video message, says the report, an Apple trainer said that the update addresses a limitation of traditional training programs, the impossibility of creating truly individualized content for hundreds of thousands of salespeople across different markets, languages, and product focuses. Apple said it will now use AI to generate short, focused videos tailored to the products a seller works with, the skills they are developing, and the language they speak. At the same time, Apple says its training team writes every script and verifies every detail. AI is the presenter, not the author. Curious. Which part was impossible then? The speedy part, it seems. According to Mac Rumors, Apple said the shift will allow it to produce more videos on more topics faster and update them more frequently than was previously possible. So it wasn't the doing it that was impossible, but the doing it as fast as they would like. Here's where I get hung up. For every language, there was a presenter, and now there's a cartoon. Except that's not even accurate because cartoons, even the ones done on computer, tend to be animated by people. So with Sales Buddy, or whatever the hell, how many jobs are we talking about? I'm guessing it's not just the presenter. There's a lighting person, a camera person, hair, makeup, editing. And Apple's one of the most valuable companies on the planet, always talking about empowering people. I have no doubt this is easier, but it feels like not a great look. Speaking of looks, the piece says AI-generated presenters will be identified by an on-screen icon. Boring! I think they should make them look like Transformers or cats or something. I mean, if you're going to do something that people could do it in a way that people couldn't. Here's the thing. I'm not against AI. Recognizing patterns, finding and fixing vulnerabilities. I believe there is a lot that AI can do and do well. Maybe, though, we could not give it jobs that people do and do well. Thank you for coming to my Ken Talk. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, NordLayer, toggle-ready network security built for today's business. Strengthening security for your business may seem overwhelming. Where do you start? Start with NordLayer. $8 per user per month. NordLayer combines VPN, access control, and threat protection in one easy-to-use platform, And it all starts at $8 per user per month. Maybe you're thinking, well, yeah, that and all the extra equipment, but no. NordLayer is about protecting your business, not remaking it. It's a layer of protection that works with the hardware and platforms you are already using. Step-by-step onboarding, 24/7 support, and yeah, starting at just $8 per user per month. That said, there is a special offer for macOS Ken listeners. Get up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans plus 10% on top with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. Try it risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. NordLayer. Toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. News of an acquisition for Apple. Engadget says the Cupertino company bought Color.io developer Patchflyer GmbH back in January. We're apparently only hearing about it now thanks to an acquisition disclosure provided by the European Union. Color.io is, or was, a web-based color grading tool. Observers figure it will be folded into Apple Creator Studio. That said, no one knows whether it'll be a standalone offering. It could instead strengthen such studio apps as Pixelmator Pro and Final Cut Pro. If you're the type to go Gaga for Gaga, you'll want to be on Apple Music tomorrow night. A piece from Apple Insider says the Lady Gaga concert film Mayhem Requiem will stream there and then. Describing the event, Apple says the opera house from Lady Gaga's Mayhem Ball has been reduced to rubble, and now it's time for Mayhem Requiem, a celebration and musical reimagining of her 6th album. While they're showing it at a specific time, Mayhem Requiem is not a live event. The piece says it was actually recorded in the middle of January at a theater in LA. The show will hit Apple Music tomorrow night, Thursday, the 14th of May at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you prefer something a bit more grand, Apple Insider says 15 select AMC theaters across the U.S. will show the concert at the same time. And finally today, a Steve Jobs dollar's not worth what it used to be. I told you yesterday of the California Innovation Coin being sold by the U.S. Mint. It's got a young Steve Jobs smiling right there from it. I kind of mocked it a tiny bit. The coin, which has a face value of $1, was selling for $2.44 each if you bought a roll of 25, or about $1.55 if you bought a bag of 100. They're probably going to cost you more now, though. Limited to a run of just under 26,000 coins, a piece from Cult to Max says the Steve Jobs dollar went up for order at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesday, and sold out almost instantly. If you're one of the people who got in, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you. I've got a deal for you. I will give you $5 for one of your $1. I'll even sign that $5, making it worth easily $4.50. You know where to find me. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Clean My Mac. Try 7 days free and use my code MacOSKen20 for 20% off at clny.com/MacOSKen. This show is also sponsored by NordLayer. Get savings on top of savings with offer code MacOSKen-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/MacOSKen. advertising handle by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOS Ken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.